Good morning, beautiful hearts. How are you feeling? This is part two of Visions for 2026. So, I just want to say, I am still under the weather. I can't believe it. It's been since before Christmas, almost 2.5 weeks. But things have to move on. Things have to keep going. Things have to keep chugging along. So, this is part two. This is part two of Visions for 2026. Now, I don't want this video to be taken down, so, there may be a way that I share it with you all. I do have a song coming in too. It's a Marvin Gaye song, and it's called Inner City Blues. Dun, 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 dun. 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 Don't worry, I won't sing it. If you're new here, my name is Jennifer Glendenning. I am an intuitive, a medium, and a channeler. And I also speak light language, but I won't be speaking it in this video. And I will be talking about visions that I'm feeling, seeing, sensing for 2026. Again, this is part two. So let's get started. I don't want this video to be too long, but I do want to go over some of the things that I talked about in video one and also deepen in video two. Now, I had talked about seeing and getting a sense of a cyber attack or the internet. And I do feel like this is something that will very much start taking form more so. Internet control, censorship, changing of times. We're really going to start to see this in 2026. How that shows up for you, I don't really know. Again, it could be more censorship, it could be large channels or networks shifting, but we're really going to start to see this. I also feel like how we communicate in general is going to start to shift. And I feel like maybe this could be a segue near the end of 2026 to 2027, 28, new networks starting to form. New networks starting to form. I do feel like there's going to be a huge trend, quality versus quantity of things. I do feel like there's going to be a resurgence of going back to perhaps, what your grandparents did, really honoring and working with Mother Nature. So I feel, and it's already happening within me, a huge shift to buying natural made products, high quality products, wools, linens, things like that, versus plastic and high manufacturing items. I do see crops, things burning, so perhaps more fires with this, price increases. And I do feel like there will be an outrage with control and top-down structures on farming, food, the quality of food, what's been in the food, how food, um, or how we get our food. And I really do feel like, especially here in Canada, that there could be another uprising. There could be farmers getting together, communities getting together, and really speaking what is important to them and really standing ground. And with that, that's where I see these grassroots, more grassroots communities. So I've mentioned in other videos, if you can get a plot of land or come together with people to buy land, now is the time. Now, I'm not saying that to scare you, but I think there's going to be a real focus on the quality of food. I mean, there has been for a while, but even more so the quality of food, the cost of food, and as mentioned, making it, growing it, and creating that connection with the earth, with community. We're really going to start to see, or the shift, the pendulum shift. The control and manipulation, I feel like, especially here in Canada, we're going to see a huge shift, and a coming together again. Enough is enough, wiping the hands of it, and tilling the ground, working together in communities, and having your own control on how you're consuming food, what type of food that you're consuming, etc., etc. So, one, if you can, now is a really good time to maybe seek out some land, think about building a garden. In Canada, it's the winter here. So, maybe in spring, think about putting in a larger garden, maybe making a greenhouse, because I definitely do feel that there's going to be a resurgence with this. Okay. I also do feel like there'll be a huge shift. And again, this takes place with the internet, what's online, but also individuality. I feel that authenticity, and I've said this before, that it will be a superpower, that people are tired of the BS, and that there's an energy around it, that you're going to start to really feel it and see it. And you're not going to tolerate anything but the truth and one's authenticity. So, again, this goes with the internet, what we're seeing on social. That's going to start to change. Quality time, connecting with friends and family, good, nourishing foods, communion with self. This is really going to change where people are stepping off of the train of consumerism and really asking self, what's important to me? What do I truly want? What really makes me happy, right? Is it this designer bag? No, I don't think so. We're also going to see more women leaders starting to take the stage. And this is creating the balance between the hierarchy. I think it's really important too to be really flexible, because a lot of things, I kind of just see the ground moving. Okay. And it's important to have, it's important to be open and to be flexible within one's thoughts and not get too fixed on how things should be. Okay. Remember that everything is playing out for the highest and best good. Even though it doesn't seem like it at the time, everything is moving and shaking, everything is clearing and cleansing. So again, we can start anew. Okay. And we are seeing in some places very deep polarity, but it is only through that polarity that we are able to see truth. and really feel what is truly authentic. I did say in the first one that there will be some power outages, some surges. Now, people are asking me about the markets. Um, I don't really like asking or answering these questions. We'll see another shift in February, and we will see another shift in July. Okay, so if you do play the markets, pay attention in February, and again, pay attention in July. Um, but I do feel like there's a lot of instability. I'm almost seeing like the ground cracking and splitting, which shows instability. Um, I do feel, and I mentioned this back in 2025, um, about King Charles. I feel that he will be stepping down. Um, his energy seems very tired. He seems very tired. And I do see him going through a book. It's almost like whether you want to call it a life review book, but it's getting a sense of what I've completed, what I've done in this lifetime. And I feel like his role is complete. So you may see this happening um, in February. Um, if it's not exactly in February, it'll be around. It's definitely in 2026. And William, I think that's his, be taking over. And I feel like he's going to really get things in order. Um, for the UK. I do feel like too there's going to be oof. Yeah, I see a lot of outrage happening there for 2026. Um, some of the leaders that have been in control for quite some time, I'm being shown like a chess game, will be moved out of position and new ones in their positions. So I do feel like this could be a year, um, maybe even in February, where King Charles is moved, stepping down, whether this is him passing. But I do see, I just get a sense he's really, really tired. And I almost see like a life review for him. Um, and I feel like, yes, this is where William will come in and just, I feel like there's a lot of energy around that. And he just really comes in and takes charge. Um, and I feel like this is something that has been waiting for him to do. So this is his role in terms of his destiny. This is what I mean. Like some things um, were already played out. So we talked about food. I talked about farmers coming together in Canada. I talked about there could be another protest in Canada about food. I talked about growing your own food and the importance of that. Authenticity is going to be highlighted. Consumerism and having the next best shiny thing is not going to be important. It's not going to be important at all. And how we view our riches are definitely going to change. What we saw as important in our lives is definitely going to shift. And I just keep getting this sense of back in my grandparents' era where my grandma used to jar, um, canned goods, preserves, gardening, really working with the land. I really feel there's a resurgence with this. I get a sense that if you can buy land, now is the time. If you can, build a greenhouse, it'd be a pretty, or find a community where you can grow your food and live more closer to the land, connecting with Gaia. I do see quite a bit of fires, prairie fires, dry, dry land, um, catching fire. I do see a lot of high winds this year. Um, and I do feel like this is going to be a year of self-reflection. I do feel like this is going to be a year where people are evaluating what's really important and how do I want to move forward? What is it that I want to spend my time doing? Does it feel right? Is it in alignment with what I thought I wanted? I was also feeling something about the swan, and I started a new painting, and I'm really being called for the swan energy. Now I know we're in the year of the horse. I think it's the horse, the Chinese horse, but it doesn't matter. I still follow what I'm feeling, and I'm really getting a sense of swan energy. So, 39. I thought I would pull out my old medicine book and talk about the swan. 193. It's so funny. I pulled the whale, the record keeper. 193. Interesting that I pulled that one. I think that'll have something to do with it because if you're thinking about it, I mentioned in the last one about the seas. So I think I'll do another video on that altogether, but I'm finding that very interesting. All right, swan energy, 193, 193. The power of the woman entering sacred space. Remember I said I felt like there was going to be a real resurgence with the divine feminine, even more so than we saw last year. Touching future yet to come, bringing eternal grace. This is the balance that I'm really feeling that the world is seeking, is the balance between the alpha and the omega. Little swan flew through dreamtime. Okay, I'm not going to read all this. As the swan looked high above the sacred mountain, she saw the biggest swirling black hole she's ever seen. Swan was not sure if she wanted to enter this hole, but the dragonfly replied, "You must be willing to accept whatever the future holds as it is present, without trying to change it." Isn't that interesting that this is the message coming forth? I am happy to abide by the Great Spirit's plan. Okay, I won't fight the currents of the black hole, the 0 point, the spark. I will surrender to the flow of the spiral and trust what I am shown. Dragonfly was very happy with the swan's answer and began to spin magic to break the pond's illusion. Suddenly the swan was engulfed in a whirlpool in the center of the pond. The swan reappeared many days later, but now she was graceful. So let us learn to surrender to the grace of the rhythm of the universe and slip from the physical body into dream time. Swan medicine teaches us to be at one with all planes of consciousness and to trust in the Great Spirit's protection. If you pulled the swan, so I didn't pull it, but I felt it, that this is a message for humanity. It ushers a time of altered states of awareness and development in your intuitive abilities. Swan medicine people have the ability to see the future, to surrender to the power of the Great Spirit, and to accept the healing and transformation within their own lives. If you are resisting your self-transformation, relax. It will be easier if you go with the flow. Interesting. And I'm going to pull, make me want to holler, throw out all my hands. Divine Feminine card. At the center of everything, there is light. And that I am. I am light. The presence of Divine Feminine. Yes, there is going to be another huge resurgence in this. And I feel like you're going to see many women coming forth and sharing more hidden secrets, speaking the truth. And whether this is things that have happened to them in the past and they're ready to share it to the world. But I feel like many secrets that women have held, those are clearing. So more truths are going to come forth. More women are going to be sharing their stories. More women are going to be coming together. More women are going to be on the rise. And again, this is to create that balance between the alpha and omega, the balance within the self.